Hey everybody. Hopefully my audio sounds well. I might like add a gate in between streams. I realized like right before stream, like I've done all this stuff to get like new audio visual equipment and then like haven't actually taken the time to set it up properly, which I need to do. But I have a plosive filter now, or a pop filter. So hopefully that fixes some of the issues. All right, pipelines and commits. All right, the internet says I'm live. I can see everything in YouTube Studio. And my lovely wife is in chat. Feel free to interact in chat. Feel free to ask any questions. There's actually been a bunch of stuff that happened, so definitely a good stream to ask questions. Also, I love going down rabbit holes about stuff, so. All right, so now we actually have Proxmox stuff, which I need to do a better job of, like, when was the last time I streamed so I can tell when to go through the diffs. But let's see. Forget if I went over this last stream. So last stream we ended on like me struggling through Proxmox, and we were able to figure out how to get logs shipping to Proxmox, and then how to get them, like getting the PVE log and the PVE updates log into Grafana. I figured that out after stream. I've documented the process. And the only thing that's not great is that it's not as correlated as the actual Proxmox environment. Because there's like some weird ID and you'd have to do all the mating and stuff. I might revisit it later, but for now, this is all right for me. So we can still see the events in both places. View. So you can still see the events everywhere. It's just not quite as verbose. Last 2 days. But we still have the dashboard, which is super nice. And we can go through here and we can explore it. And this would obviously be useful in like a bigger cluster. But for now, I only have one node in my Proxmox cluster. So yeah, I figured that one out. Can go through the docs and see how it's done manually. Should do that in GitLab. So let's go to docs, Telegraph, Proxmox. So for now, this is all done manually. I want to add an Ansible rule to do this because Proxmox is Debian under the hood. It shouldn't be too bad. And I believe there's either existing automation content for it or there's like command line stuff. So you can just do it the bad way and use shell, or the shell module. But for now, you go through the GUI, edit the metric server, should be fine. And then I figured out the weird opaque syslog config. Our syslog and syslog-ng both have goofy config. Like, it's not the cool hit modern thing. It's syslog, so it doesn't use like YAML or TOML or JSON or like a well-documented language. It uses kind of its own weird thing. So I figured this out, and it's pretty copy-paste, which is nice. So if we actually wanted to run through it super quick, you'd log into Proxmox with an admin account instead of our SSO account. So root. And then we'd go to data center. We would go to somewhere in here. Oh, I exploded it. So we have our metric server. We'd go to add a new one. We would use the InfluxDB endpoint. And then we'd punch in cooler shiftmon 10008, type in 8428 and HTTP. The reason why this is using HTTP, even though shiftmon enables SSL by default, is the authentication mechanism doesn't exist in Trafic, which is what's doing all the authentication for the Loki and Victoria metrics. Doesn't support bear, or I haven't implemented it to where it supports bear auth, so you can't feed it a token in a bucket. So for now, the way you do that is you set insecure in your Ansible inventory, and it will allow plain text metrics to be sent. It is something I'm planning on implementing in the future. It was just how it shaked out now. Yeah, then you would hit create, and then you would start seeing metrics flow in your dashboard. Like so. So that's the news for Proxmox. If we get time. Oh, and for syslog, there is a bit more work you have to do. Before I forget, you actually have to SSH in, and this has to be done to each node, which if you have a bigger cluster is going to suck. So I need to provide a way to make that not terrible. We can either SSH in, go to shell, and then using our favorite editor. Well, first we do an apt tech-y install our syslog. What? Install our syslog. Okay, cool. So we install our syslog, and then inside of we edit it with our favorite available text editor. Etsy our syslog dot 50. Did I just find a bug in the docs on the stream? Shiftmon conf. I think I did. R syslog. That's not good. Etsy syslog? Yeah, what the heck? Okay, so it is Etsy rsyslog.d. So you would edit this. I need to edit the I need to edit that out and then paste in this content. This will set up forwarding. You'll need to change the IP address to the IP of your shiftmon server. And then we will need to also add a couple of files. Basically, this will just tail these 3 files and forward them, and forward anything info level or higher to syslog. And then you do systemctl restart our syslog, and then the logs would flow. So if you don't do the syslog step, you would still get all the metric data. You would just be missing logs. So like your dashboard, these 2 panels would appear to be blank, but you would still get all of the metrics. So it's not too bad. So that's everything in Proxmox world that's happened. There's been a couple of other things that have happened as well, though. Keep going back. Oh, we have commits over here. Oh, there's the PVE logging stuff. As is tradition, forgot to bump the version of Ansible Galaxy and then submitted a merge request. And then on Friday, sometime earlier this week, I added support for sysmon and fixed a whole bunch of bugs in the Windows script. So now if you have a Windows virtual machine, the install script will actually work. When I changed the repo, it broke fetching the URLs from GitLab. And now it will also either utilize an existing Chocolatey install to Choco install Telegraph, or it will fetch it from influx data and put it in the same path. So all the commands and all the documentation will still work for a regular Windows install. Yeah, chat's right. Bugs are just opportunities for self improvement. It's a very positive attitude. All right. So, so the interesting thing about Sysmon is that there is data being reported, um, but there's no like dashboarding or alerting yet. The reason for that is I'm not a Windows admin and I haven't pretended to be one in like 3 years now. So hopefully somebody in the community will find a very good opportunity to start using Shiftmon to start researching. There's Windows environment using Sysmon and Shiftmon, which that sounds really cool. Sysmon for Shiftmon. But yeah, I'm not a Windows person, so it's harder for me to like make dashboards and alerts because I don't admin Windows systems every day. Doing Proxmox is like I understand what a Proxmox administrator wants because I used to be one professionally and I am one still today. Same with like Libvirt. But like Windows and Sysmon are kind of outside of my wheelhouse. So I'm going to make it really easy to instrument them and ask all the lovely Windows admins out there to help me out on this one. Like, even if it's just this would be a valuable alert, this would be a valuable dashboard, putting that in any of our communication channels is helpful to me because even that little bit of information can help me like start going in the right directions and kick off like a feedback loop. And every time you make that little commit, it lowers the barrier enough to maybe persuade somebody to use like Shiftmon for their use case. Because right now it's like, cool, I have Sysmon data, but I need a tool that has Sysmon data with dashboards because I'm not learning a domain specific language to query my Sysmon logs. And then if somebody has like a simple dashboard, they might be able, that might lower the barrier enough to be like, I can learn a little bit of log QL to do everything that I needed to do, or like add an alert, stuff like that. So yeah, Windows folks, it'd be super helpful if I can get some advice on Sysmon, or if you even need help installing Shiftmon, I'll spend an hour helping you out getting that there. And our Discord and Matrix information is going to be in chat as well and should be in the description. They're not too hard to get a hold of. Also, if you're like new and like worried that you're not in the whole Grafana thing, that's fine. Like a part of my day job is onboarding people into like new observability systems. So I'm very comfortable dealing with people that are new in that environment, and everybody's a noob once, and I'm not going to like shame you for being new. But yeah. Sysmon support's there. I can pull it off stream super quick and go into explore computer last 7 days. All right, sorry. People in my network, the Windows people named their computers after themselves, so I had to spin up the query, not on camera. So yeah, now we have the full log format. So now we can see which command line was ran and all the good Sysmon data. It will not install Sysmon for you. You have to get that done yourself. And the reason for that is Sysmon's heavily opinionated. And I just used like the Swift on security config. It also doesn't sound like a very intelligent idea for somebody who isn't a full-time Windows admin to like configure or to instrument Sysmon. So you can see all the goodness from Sysmon inside of Shiftmon. Then the last little bit that's happened recently And I say a little bit because it's like small code wise, but big feature wise, and that's alerts as code. So now you can define a path to a file inside of your Shiftmon inventory, and you can define alerts in code, which I actually wanted to show on stream tonight. So if we go into the alerting section here, and if we go into this folder, we can see all these alerts are now provisioned. And what that means is that they were, instead of being manually defined by a user and then stored inside of Grafana, they are defined as code in a YAML file. And then that file gets uploaded to the server in a spot where Grafana knows to deploy alerts from. The really nice part about this is reproducibility and version control, and it's also way more scalable too. The nice thing about putting this stuff in version control is if somebody makes a mistake and it's a provisioned alert, you can use like the get blame feature to see who changed what when, not so you can like tell them that they did a bad job, but you know what changed when so you could fix the problem. Especially if you have like a misconfigured alert that could cause outages to be longer. It would increase the mean time to resolution, or there's another, it's like mean time to acknowledgement or something like that. But it would increase the time between when an alert fired and when somebody actually did something about it. I guess fired wouldn't be the right word. When an alert condition was met and when somebody started doing something about it. So having that like version control workflow to be like, oh, this problem happened here. We didn't get notified till here, but I thought we had an alert for it. Did anything change? You now have certainty with that, which is really nice. The other nice thing too is that you don't have to do like database backups to restore alerts. It's not even that hard to like extract it if you do it the GUI way too. So what I can do, actually, dashboards, since we have better Proxmox support, boop. IO8, we're going to explore so we can get that query. This is actually a super easy query. So we do new alert rule, select the right database. So we can do CPU, IO8. So we want to do Grafana managed and we don't want to do data source managed for this one. So that's the right query. We need to do the last condition is above. And then we want to do like 5. IO8 of 5 is when things start getting slow. IO8 of 7 is when like everybody's mad at you because all the applications are super slow. We're going to put it in the Shiftmon folder. Oh, what? I just like provisioned these today. So we're going to create a temp eval group and we'll do 5 minutes. So we want to configure the no data and the error data. So we want to do no data here. And then we want to put in the summary information, which I usually copy from another alert. All right. I believe there's like a Linux IO8 one. Where is the... There it is. And I believe we don't need host name on this query, so we can like label drop it. Forget if it's cluster wide. I need to set up a second. I need to set up a second Proxmox node so I can test like high availability and stuff. All right, so high IO weight on PVE cluster. Yeah, I think host is the only object I really get, which kind of stinks, but highway on PVE node dollar labels dot hosts, and then labels dot hosts PVE node. I don't know why node's capital. I get weird and just like randomly start capitalizing things. I think part of it is like from when I code, I'm used to doing like my brain catches a pattern of like camel casing or snake casing. And so I'm so used to doing like the modifier, the special character key before and after stuff. I'll just do it after I like capitalize a sentence or an acronym, and then I'll capitalize the next word. But it's a weird like autocomplete my brain does. So PVE node label.host, or PVE node has an IO weight of this. Then we can link it to a dashboard panel. Undo Proxmox. Yeah, my wife points out it makes editing my work super fun. So then this would be IO weight. So then we have a dashboard. Preview routing goes to the default policy, which is fine. So PVE high IO weight. I actually think I capitalized that correctly. And we want to make sure that it's pending. Yeah, 5 minutes should be good enough. And Max says hi. And I think Max is barking super loud because he realizes that I am not doing my alerts as code. So let's figure out how we can make this alert function as code. So we have this alert in this folder right here. More. Can do a modify or an export. There we go. So we just have this rule. Is really the only thing we kind of need. Ref ID, BA, data sources, ref ID, C. Dashboard UID error, runbook URL labels is pause false. Okay. Sorry, I had to read that out loud. I'm still new to doing this in provisioning. All right, so now I need to go to my Ansible jobs repo. I'm going to be a nerd on this stream and use NeoVim. And then we need to edit our... Oh, where is it? Max is really mad about me not doing my alerts as code. Really, really mad. I'm committing as fast as I can, buddy. All right, PVE, high IO weight. There's something... Okay. Data source is fine. Interval... Okay, so they used a UID for the implementation. Or for the group name, I'm pretty sure. Legend format. Where is it? Dashboard, no data. So I think that should be it. For this guy, data source UID. That's right. I'm gonna see what the groups config is. And then compare that with what it exported. So it'd be in the like evaluation. We'll see how this goes. Because it should put it in the same folder, I believe. So now, we have this guy right here. Save it out. Forgot to write quit all. Git status, git add. Oh, I didn't add that woodpecker thing in. That's why. I was struggling earlier with woodpecker not doing the code scan every time. I had disabled that and then re-implemented the condition poorly. Git commit m added pve alert. So we're gonna make this change. Git push. Yes, I'm pushing straight to main. It's a test repo. So it should be okay. Crap. Still didn't commit automatically. Should be fine though. So now when we deploy shiftmon, we can run with this variable. All right. While this is deploying, we got a minute. But I think I know what's happening here with the... So I believe the Grafana thing will work, but there's a bug in my CI where every time I commit, it should automatically pull in, or it should automatically run a code scan and yell at me if I like committed a secret or just have bad coding practices. Or I should say more specifically which bad coding practices I'm using. So woodpecker scan. There might be like a when event that's not running. Or there's like some condition here that's only running. Maybe. Clone git verify true. No? The only thing that looks like it's gating it. Yeah, that's strange. We're gonna look at like the when statement of. Okay. So one's the right syntax. It's just super weird. But that's the only reason. Anyway. Let's look for alerts now. Perfect timing. So now we see that our user alerts have changed. So now when we refresh Grafana, we should see an alert with that same UID, but it's in the provision folder instead of the manual folder. I say should, but technology's wild. All right, moment of truth. We get to see if I broke shiftmon or not. Drum roll. Chat, you make my heart happy sometimes. I need to figure out how to do the like fancy chat overlay on the side. Yay, it worked. Then I get a matrix notification that will yell at me too. I shouldn't say yell, that'll holler at me. All right. Grafana works. There's only Shiftmon, PVE, high IO8. So a cool thing about provisioning is that provisioning takes precedence over things that are done manually. So if you do what I did and you don't want to like make your brain go through the YAML schema, you can. And just do something manually, and then you could yank out the YAML, shove it in a file, and then deploy it later. Probably need to add more context to this alert too. So now the other way we can manipulate an alert would be like, hey, there's no description on this. That's kind of weird. As we could add that context back in. So if we go back to our lovely editor, let me know if the editor looks fine on your screens. Go to user alerts, children. There's like a description or something. There's a description and a summary, and I don't think there's a description. Which, especially with like an alert name like that, it's like, what? Okay. So condition, ref ID, ref ID. Okay, data source, expression. Come on. Wait, what? Is there like no summary? Yeah. Oh. Wrong. One day I will figure out. Yeah, what the heck? Children. And then I want to look for. So it's like toward the very bottom. But yeah, it's not looking like it's there. On that alert. So let's go to children. I also realized one downside of being somebody who streams and uses NeoVim is it jarring when I do like all the Vim motions and like start finding things instead of scrolling through. Okay. So I think UID is a field. Is there no summary on it either? Okay, I'll do this in VS Code. I'm not that great with it. And thanks for the feedback. Okay. So is there no, how did that even get in if it doesn't have like a summary or a description in the alert? So chat told me that I should only use what I'm comfortable with. The problem is I'm in a pit of despair when it comes to like which editor I actually like right now. Cuz like I'm not super proficient with NeoVim, and especially because I'm trying to use it with the same workload as VS Code, there's a bunch of like weird paper cuts I run into. But I'm like comfortable enough with Vim motions. I'm able to find bugs inside of like the Vim mode inside of VS Code. So I'm not like super great with either, and I just need to commit to one or the other at this point, I think, to fix it. Like I need to reinstall my OS and just no trace of VS Code anywhere. I'm using Vim today. I need the productivity hit. Yeah, is there no description or summary? That is wild. Okay, let's go to view not smart. Yeah, there's a description and a summary. I don't even know you can make alerts without a description or summary. Yeah, what the hell? I didn't even know you could do that. Well, let's fix that. So I find a bug in my alerts. So now we go to children. Okay. We're going to copy the summary and description line. Then we're going to go to the next UID so it looks uniform. Go here. Wait a second. Where is... Oh, annotations. Okay, so it's in the annotations. So then we can have users can look up domain on labels.server. DNS filtering is not working on labels.server. Okay. So now that I have this, we can commit it. And while it's deploying, I could explain. Okay, so that didn't get committed last time either. While CI is running on that, added summary and description to alert. So another reason why you'd want to do is alerts as code is at most organizations that have like any remotely mature like GitOps, they have code review processes, and then during review somebody could be like, what idiot made that alert? Like, why didn't you put a summary and description? People are nicer in code reviews sometimes, but and be like, yo, dude, you forgot the summary and description. Or as you get even better, you can make like a linter or something like that that'll look through the YAML schema and be like, annotations is an empty dictionary. What the heck? That shouldn't be the case. It should have like summary, description, and these things. These other things. So you could add checks for like no summary, description. There's no like link to any sort of documentation or stuff like that. So you could use it to like force people to do quality work, essentially. The other nice thing too is that the alerts inside of the if I cannot edit this alert even though I'm an admin on the system. I'd have to duplicate it first. And that deals with the problem of meat bags and automation being or interacting with the same system. Is that Grafana is written in a way that the automation will take precedence over the human. So that way, like, a human won't make a change and it get overwritten by automation, and then the human will be like, what the hell happened? My change got overridden by some black magic, essentially. It's like a known problem. Because I've used like some infrastructure as code tools before, and then humans would make change to it because I was the one like testing it out and it wasn't deployed org wide yet. It wasn't that fun. Well, crud. My push didn't happen. Oh, yeah. So the meatbag thing. So because a lot of my job focuses on automation, sometimes I'll refer to humans as meatbag to put a negative connotation on human. Not because I think like humans are all bad or some nihilistic bullcrap like that. It's to bring focus to the fact that humans shouldn't be doing this thing. So like if we're doing a rollout for a service that requires a bunch of virtual machine deployments and we can like, oh, we can let tier one do it. It's like, why are we letting the meat bags do what open tofu should? Because like sometimes it takes people a while to like get convinced that automation is the way, and putting a negative spin on humans doing tedious bullcrap is a good way to do it. Like having to install Debian a bunch of times just doesn't sound that fun. Um, so yeah, CI should be running to do that now. We want to do the shiftmon rule again. And if you're wondering why this run times are so much faster, we now publish inside of the, I need to stop hitting the boom. Inside of the shiftmon repo, I forget where GitLab keeps their registry. Oh wow, it doesn't like, that's silly. So deploy container registry. We publish a image to the shiftmon repo that has all the dependencies that you will need to deploy shiftmon. So that way, if you want to use Woodpecker or GitLab CI, you have a convenient way to do that, and all the dependencies are kept up to date for you. And it's actually built inside of this Woodpecker instance. Getting Docker and Docker to work in public GitLab is kind of weird, and it was just easier to build it myself. And all I have to do to kick off that build is just add another variable where it's build equals true. So we're copying dashboards. Almost there. So our provisioned alerts changed. One thing I'm curious about is how, if those update live or not. Okay, so you do have to do a reset. Using provisioning, you have to do a reset. I don't believe if you do it through Terraform, it would, though. I haven't looked too much at the Grafana Terraform provider yet, though. but that's going to be an interesting thing to pick up because everything right now is done with Ansible, and Ansible's like you could just operate it from your laptop, and that's not ideal, but it's not as detrimental as doing so with Terraform. Um, Also, like Terraform's a bit more hair triggered. I don't think Terraform or OpenTofu are bad tools. It's just like the kind of the point of this project is to be super easy, and Terraform's moderate to difficult. In my opinion, Ansible's like has a nice smooth learning curve where you're like, I can run apt update on 20 machines at the same time on my laptop, and like Terraform's like, oh, you made this mild change to a virtual machine that you spent 2 hours configuring. I will end you. So like Terraform's a little scarier. Also, you have to deal with like Terraform state, and if you want to do Terraform inside of a team, you have to store state remotely, which is weird. Like, there's just more stuff going on. But the Grafana stuff for Terraform is way more complete than Ansible, and that sounds like a better thing to do than write the API, maybe. I'm like too far into it. Oh, favorite dashboard I made. One second. So now we can do DNS filtering is not working on labels.server was there. Favorite dashboard that I've made. CryptoStonk's pretty fun. Can see how much money I'm losing on crypto. These are just the prices. That one's pretty fun just because it was like silly, and it's a good example of using like a business use case for Grafana. Let's see what other ones. Free IPA, liver, nut. This is trick. That's a really good question. Trafic? I think Trafic would be my favorite. One, because saying Trafic's fun, especially because chat would like to inform me that it's called traffic. So the reason this is my favorite is it shows something that Grafana does much better than other observability systems, and that's showing data from multiple data sources in the same view. So if you looked at this dashboard, you couldn't tell which things were generated by logs and which things were generated from, or which panels were from logs and which panels were generated from metrics. So I believe yeah, this is generated from logs. You can tell by the log query thing, but like if you were showing this to your manager, it's just everything kind of looks the same, which is super cool. So I think that one's really neat. libvert's pretty cool. And then the Linux one. I think it's Trafic or Linux. Actually, it's Black Box. Sorry. Gosh, you get me gushing about all the dashboards I've made. Sound like an egomaniac. I forgot about this one because figuring out this panel was super hard for a bunch of reasons, but super rewarding at the end. This query is super goofy to try to get uptime calculation. You would think it would just be like the average of uptime, but no, because the error code goes up and not to zero if it's failed. So if it was binary like 1 or 0, you could do the average of the check result over time. And then if it's 1, great. Or yeah, if a successful check is 1 and a unsuccessful check is 0, you could take the average over time, and then that would be the uptime. It would just be like a 0 to 1 percent instead of like 0 to 100, or a 0 to 1 way of measuring a ratio instead of 0 to 100. But ended up being way weirder than that. And so that was like a super rewarding thing. The other thing is the type table, where where different panels have different data types and different coloring. Sounds really cool. The other cool thing I've done with black box data is misuse the candle visualization. So it shows, this is the candlestick view, which is normally used for stock data. And I'm using it to measure P50, P90, min, and max instead of, open, close, max, and min for stocks. But I saw a similar view of this to smoke paying. And I always thought it was super cool that they could have that. But the reason why this one wouldn't be my top one is this. Bleh. There's too many drop downs. That's my opinion anyway. That was a really good question. Thanks, chat. All right. I'm getting slightly long, but still on topic, and I still have to get through Ansible. So we can at least start it. This shouldn't take too long. And I'm going to do this in a... Now, I can do this the fun way. So we can do a new folder, and we're going to do PVE instrumentation. God, I hope I spelled that right. New folder, tasks, new folder, templates. I think that should be all we need. Main YAML. And then we want to do 50 shiftmon conf. So chat would love to correct me on something. I'm not sure what though. Apparently my root password. Yeah, apparently my root password. There we go. R syslog.d50. Oh, yeah. Traffic versus traffic. I think it's fun to say. First favorite thing about the Golang people seem super cultured because, like, shouldn't say cultured. They have really good marketing and, like, naming of things. I don't know if it's just, like, the devs have a good sense of that. Like, the people who write programs in Go are good at that. Or, like, there's just some marketing team at Google that's running around telling people to, like, make a birds aren't real joke when they fork drone or something like that. Because woodpecker was forked from drone. They're both written in Golang. And then traffic. And not only do they have cool names that are, like, super appropriate, The Trafic people have like the most adorable logo I have ever seen before. It's a cute little gopher. I know who I'm trusting all my packets to. It is this man right here. You may not like it, but this is what peak reverse proxying looks like. Right. Back to the Ansible. So name, install our syslog. Oh, I actually need handlers for this, which is weird. Handler. It's Trafic. I'm gonna get so much crap if like a traffic dev actually looks into this. New file, main.yaml. So I have to use a handler for this one, which is Ansible's way of basically these are conditional tasks that will happen that get called inside of tasks. So in this case, we don't want to bounce our syslog every time that we deploy because we don't want to unnecessarily cause logs to not flow. So we would do restart our syslog, and then we would do ansible.builtin.systemd, and then we would do name our syslog. Yeah, thank you, VS Code, state, restarted. And then this is Debian. I don't know if I'm going to assume root or not. We'll test it. We'll pretend like somebody put sudo on their Proxmox server, become true. So then name, install our syslog. I think that's all we need for this. Ansible built-in apt name, our syslog, state, screw it, latest. Update your damn packages. Become true. I always get yelled at by people because I update things to the latest whenever I deploy stuff. Other people like hard coding versions of things, and unless you are very confident that you are going to actually babysit your dependencies, I don't think you should do it. I think you're better off dealing with the horrors of latest breaking or the like latest stable version of something breaking than the horrors of security CVEs. So if you're like freezing dependencies of packages, I believe you shouldn't do that unless you have a system in place to like deal with CVEs and security patches and stuff like that. But I see a lot of people just get lazy and just like freeze and then never look at it again. So install our syslog, name, add shiftmon, or add syslog config. Is syslog a proper noun? Add syslog forwarding to shiftmon. Shiftmon's a proper noun. Ansible built-in .template source dest mode become true notify restart. What did I name you? Restart our syslog. So what this will do, or what this role will do, excuse me, is that it will, is that this handler will only run if this is changed. So that way we don't have to do like all that awful like if else stuff. When I was doing the PowerShell for Telegraph, it made me super thankful for all the stuff that Ansible just makes easy because it's more declarative. And I could just say, put the latest version of this thing. Like this is basically the exact same. This like very legible, is that 5 lines of code accomplishes, let's see, everything that these 20, like 18 to 20 lines do. It's like entirely different because I have to like write the debug logic or like write all the statements that say like, hey, we're not using a package manager. You have to get like, you have to figure out, is it even the latest version? And then even then it's still just restarting it anyway. So become notify restart our syslog. Then we need to edit this to contain syslog.ip or syslog.host oh crap. I think you don't have to do, we'll see how this renders in Jinja. It'll be fun. And then, so I think these tasks should be fine. If I do 50 shiftmon.conf dest etsy r syslog.d 50 shiftmon conf, and then ls lah what is that, 644? Yeah, so mode 644. So now, actually, I don't want other people seeing that. They're non-root users. I'll worry about that one later. I just want to see if I can like redeploy the syslog config. I don't think you guys want to watch me read all the documentation for stuff. Okay, so pbe inventory dot yaml all hosts 10.0.0.2 vars syslog hosts I forget if it can handle NIP, but I want to test the reset functionality. Logs, local shift systems, net. And then we need to create another copy of this guy, rename instrument pbe.yaml. PVE instrumentation. So now Ansible playbook. Use the inventory, PVE inventory.yaml. root. Oh yeah, crap. Copy ID. Root at 10.0.0.2. Ansible doesn't like it if you're not using SSH keys. Fun fact. Yay, I'm not a liar anymore. All right. Yeah, this is a good stopping point. I'll clean a lot of this stuff up. There's like missing defaults. So like it should default to the port. Screw it. I'll knock that out super quick. There needs to be a default in here. Defaults. New file. Main.yaml. And then we want to do syslog port. And now the same. I think that should work. But yeah. Thanks for coming. Great questions, chat. Great feedback. It was amazing talking with all of you. I'm going to cue the outro music.